Kalen Vale ran his fingers over the ledger, the figures whispering of empires built on shadow and sin. His office, perched high above the rain-slicked streets, smelled of older money and the faint coppery tang of a recently dismissed protection charm. The Vale family business was stability, a careful laundering of mortal greed through the intricate plumbing of the magical underworld. But the ledger now showed a tremor, a dangerous drain. Someone was breaking the system. His fixer, a nervous man who smelled of mothballs and mist, laid a single item on the desk, a bone die, carved with a symbol that hurt the eyes to look at. "They're calling it the Loaded Lotus, sir, a new syndicate. They're using that to rig the Grand Odium." Kalen's blood went cold. The Grand Odium was the ultimate supernatural game, a high-stakes tournament where fortunes and futures were wagered. If it was rigged, the resulting crash would vaporize the magical economy and take the mortal one down with it. His empire, his legacy, would be dust. His desire was simple: preserve the delicate, corrupt equilibrium his family had built. His first move was one of pure pragmatism. In a vault warded with silver and sorrow, he summoned Zara. The djinn materialized not in a puff of smoke, but a shimmer of heat haze, her form woven from desert winds and a profound, centuries-old resentment. The air crackled with the scent of ozone and crushed pomegranates. 1,001 years, little mafioso," she hissed, her voice the sound of shifting sands. "And you call in your ancestral marker now? For what? A bad investment?" "The investment is our mutual survival," Kalen replied, his tone flat. "Your debt is to my bloodline. If our economy collapses, your contract becomes worthless parchment. You'll be anchored to nothing, trapped between worlds." Zara's luminous eyes narrowed. She was a creature of immense power, bound by older, stricter laws than any mortal code. Her desire was freedom, and Kalen had just shown her how his failure was her cage. Their reluctant partnership was forged in that moment of shared interest. But they needed a key, an inside track they couldn't buy or magic. They needed Inspector Anya Rao. Rao was a stark contrast to Kalen's world of shadows. She operated in a sunlit office that stank of bleach and cheap coffee, her caseboard a spiderweb of red string and stubborn logic. She was investigating a string of bizarre suicides, financiers and mathematicians who had lost everything at the odium tables. Kalen found her at a crime scene, staring at a financer who had apparently tried to swim up the side of a skyscraper. "Inspector," Kalen began, his voice smooth as oil. "Vale," she didn't turn. "Your family's fingerprints are all over this city's dirty money, but this," she gestured to the corpse, "this is something new. This is a pattern I can't arrest." "I can give you the pattern," Kalen said, "but you won't like the picture it makes." He and Zara laid it out in Rao's sterile office. The cursed artifact, a relic that manipulated probability itself, turning certainty into chaos. The rigged games, the coming collapse. Rao listened, her face a mask of professional skepticism warring with a gut-deep horror. Her desire was justice, an orderly world where the law meant something. This threat was so far beyond her jurisdiction it was ludicrous, but the body count was all too real. "Why come to me?" "Because we need someone who can't be bribed or magicked," Zara said, her form flickering. "Someone whose word, in a mortal court, might actually mean something when this is over." The climax unfolded at the Grand Odium itself, a hidden coliseum pulsating with glamored nobles, goblin bankers, and the desperate rich. The air thrummed with spells and the scent of ozone and adrenaline. At the high table sat the syndicate's master, a man named Silas, his smile a razor cut. The cursed artifact was the table itself, the polished wood inlaid with the same maddening symbols as the die. They couldn't smash it, the magical backlash would be catastrophic. They couldn't expose it publicly. The panic would cause the very crash they feared. The artifact feeds on belief, Zara realized, her voice strained. It twists the probability that people expect to be twisted. Kaelin looked at Silas, then at the terrified, greedy faces around the table. He saw the system he upheld, a system of controlled corruption, being perverted into pure, world-ending chaos. His flaw had always been seeing people as assets and liabilities. Now he had to trust them. "Rao," he said, his voice low, "your credibility, your word. Tell them, tell everyone to stop believing." It was a desperate, insane plan. While Zara focused her power, creating a counterward of pure, stable certainty around the table, Kaelin provided the muscle, his enforcers creating a distraction. But the final piece was Rao. She stepped onto the dais, no magic, no weapons, just her badge and a voice honed on truth. She didn't speak of magic or curses. She spoke of fraud, of conspiracy. She named names, cited the patterns of the dead financiers. Her words a lance of cold, mortal logic into the fever dream of the odium. A ripple of doubt went through the crowd. The wind streak faltered. The artifact, its fuel of blind belief cut off, flickered. In that moment, Zara's ward snapped into place, and Kaelin shattered the inlaid symbols with a single, precise strike from a silver-tipped cane. Silas was taken by his own former allies. The house always turns on a loser. The immediate crisis was averted. In the aftermath, Kaelin stood again in his office, the city's heartbeat a steady rhythm below. The ledger was still a mess, but it was a solvable one. Zara's form was more substantial, her debt not gone, but renegotiated. Inspector Rao had a closed case, and a file on the Vale family that was now infinitely more complex. There was no friendship between them, no trust. Only a shared understanding that the foundation of their worlds was more fragile than anyone knew. And a silent, reluctant acknowledgement that should that foundation tremble again, the phone would ring, and the three of them would once again become the city's most unlikely and most necessary guardians.